Welcome to the HMO Property Show by investors for investors. Brought to you by the HMO Property Co, Australia's leaders in impact investing. Investments made with the intention to generate a measurable, beneficial social or environmental impact alongside a positive financial return. Catch us weekly as we discuss all things cash flow positive property investing.
Welcome back to the HMO Property Show. Today I've got my first return guest. It's Perth Buyers agent. It's a bit of a tongue twister. It's Mr. Scott Townsend. Welcome back to the podcast, mate.
Thanks for having me again.
A lot's happened since you last were on. It was actually September last year that you were here last.
Yeah, well.
Over a year, now it's October now. So, yeah, a year and a month, 30 month. And when we recorded the podcast last time, you were here working at the HMO Property Co, and now you're out on your own with Perth Property Buyers. Congratulations, mate!
No, it's been a busy year, year and a bit, and going very well.
Yeah, how is working for yourself and having your own buyers agency?
Yeah, good. I was over the years I've sort of been in this somewhat self-employed role and running my own show, so it sort of transitioned pretty well.
Yeah.
And you look, it's sort of the demand in Perth right now. It wasn't sort of a hard transition, I should say. Pretty much from the get-go, we've been flat out, and that's only increasing. Yeah.
Lots of interest from the East Coast still.
Yeah, big time. Big time. More so than ever.
We'll get into what it is, or like who you're helping and where the demand's coming from in a bit. We'll get into some market stats as well, because it's all good and well looking at stats online, but when you see feet on the ground and people in the trenches, that's where you're getting the real feedback and seeing what's really going on, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what is Perth Property Buyers?
Basically, we're a boutique buyers agency based in Perth, solely sort of set up to serve people buying in Perth, investing, owner-occupiers, and being that sort of boots on the ground service that knows the Perth market. We've been investing here ourselves for the last sort of 14 years, so have been through the ups and the downs and the sideways of the market, so know it well, and that's what we're sort of niched in, and aim to serve the people who are trying to get into this market, which is a challenge at the moment.
And I think that's a good point that you raised there as well. You've been investing in Perth for the last 14 years. I always say it's important, if you're going to work with somebody, make sure they're actually doing what you're doing as well. That's the main key, isn't it?
Yeah.
How did it go setting up a buyers agency? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Is there any hoops you had to jump through?
There is. Well, you've got to be licensed. So you got to do your real estate. You do your time in your real estate license and understand all of the legalities that go with that side of it. Setting up the agency, setting up websites, setting up marketing and funnels, and getting the clients really is the other aspect of it. Sort of got a lot of it organically, just from networks, and again, I guess reputation. It wasn't sort of like come from being something outside of property. I've been sort of in property for many years and transitioned pretty well. So everything's got its challenges, and but no, overall it set up pretty effortlessly, to be honest. And before you were working with HMO, you were in the building game still, weren't you? Before that, what were you doing prior to that? So I'm a builder by trade, but moved into new home design and consult. Did that for sort of 6 years or so with a couple of the major builders in Perth. So had been helping with clients get into new build investment property and things like that way. So that's where it sort of transitioned from initially, really organically. Once we'd finished up doing that. So
14 years investing experience in the Perth market. Almost 9 years working in the building buyers agency construction game as well. So package all that together, and that's what I mean. It's important that you're working with people that actually know what they're doing. Isn't it?
Seeing all aspects of it from how a house is put together right through to what's important when it comes to investing.
Yeah, and you do your own developments as well.
Yeah, a few of them on the side to keep us busy, and
As if you're not busy enough,
it's never a dull moment. No.
You've just finished your own development as well, haven't you, up in Kalamunda?
Yeah, up in the Kalamunda Hills. That was probably the biggest one we've undertaken so far, and also posed its challenges with we bought it in mid 2021.
Pre-COVID, that was it.
It was in COVID.
Yep.
There had been some build price increases, but we didn't think they were going to keep going. So we bought that site, and it was a vacant block of land just sitting there for months and months and months online. The real estate agent actually advertised it as a duplex site, but we knew you could actually put 4 dwellings on there. But yeah, it had no main sewer to it or anything like that, so we had to bring the sewer from about 60 metres down the street.
Sounds expensive.
It was, yeah. Very expensive, but we factored all that in. Again, bought in 2021. We had our plans and everything all done, priced and contracted, but then build prices kept going up, so we unfortunately we did cop a price increase, and then towards the sort of beginning of the build starting, that's when all the interest rates decided to take off as well. So we had extra costs there. I guess you could almost say lucky that the market continued to rise. We sort of knew it was rising anyway, but the price of the end values of the homes increased throughout that process, which essentially worked in line with the extra costs we incurred.
Perfect.
Through the thing. So
the feasibility, the return on the feasibility looked the same, even though the market went up and the rates went up.
Relatively percentage-wise and margin-wise, pretty much spot on to what we had. It worked out well.
What about construction time on that project? Because a lot of projects got delayed, construction times dragged out.
Yeah, the actual build time from when our slabs went down was 13 months for all 4 villas. So
it's not bad.
That was very good.
It's not bad.
No, we look back at, we actually had a handover the other day, and we looked back at the story on the phone sort of thing, and as to when those slabs went down. August 2022, and handing it over just the other day. So
nice work. Well, obviously PPB, like you say, Perth Property Buyers, you're working with owner occupiers, you're working with investors, and they also find development sites as well. And again, you got experience with development, so if people are looking for development sites, got your man. Are you only finding and sourcing stuff in Western Australia at the minute, or are you Australia wide yet?
Not Australia wide yet. However, we have got a couple of clients at the moment who are working closely with us to sort of build out multiple property portfolios. Yep. So we are diversifying into Queensland at the moment. So Queensland's a market a bit like Perth. I think there's a lot of growth drivers there. You got the Olympics coming up in 2032. And again, their price point is still quite sharp. They're getting a lot of migration from Sydney and Melbourne, and international as well. So some of our clients who are buying sort of 2 or 3 properties, we're not sort of putting them all in Perth. We're maybe doing 1 or 2 in Perth, and then getting them a third one over there. We're working actually with our close colleague over there who runs a buyers agency, who we're doing a lot of our sort of boots on the ground sourcing for us over there. Again, providing that service from someone on the ground in Queensland too, to help secure assets over there if that's what people are wanting.
Collaboration is key, isn't it?
100%.
100%. Give us some examples of some owner-occupier stuff that you've helped purchase since you've set up PPB.
The most probably recent one was a property for an owner-occupier who is moving here from Brizzy, actually. They're not coming until next year though, so they were looking for something they can just buy now and rent out while the market's obviously rising. That was in Greenwood, and the reason I'm bringing this one up because it was just a couple of weeks ago. It was a 3x1 renovated. Greenwood's a pretty hot suburb at the moment for owner occupiers, being sort of 15, 16 k's out from the city, and a lot of families in the area. So renovated 3x1, we sort of knew it was going to be quite popular because renovated properties at the moment are, they're selling really well because people don't want to undertake renovations, and the unknown about build costs and getting trades and all that kind of thing. So it was advertised from mid to high 6s or something along those lines, and I sort of knew full well that it was going to sell for a 7 in front of it, and sort of said that to the buyer straight off the bat. They had their first open home on they called it a sneak peek on Tuesday evening, with an official one going to be happening on Saturday. The Tuesday evening at 5:30 p.m. the open home, there was a line out the door. I think I got there about 5 or 10 minutes early and sort of got through with one or two other people, and then when I sort of walked out of the place to call the client at about 5 past past the open home time, there was 38 groups, I think the agent said, on that Tuesday evening. So yeah, he sort of said to everybody, look, we're not going to go to Saturday, we're going to wrap this up before the weekend. It's best and final sort of offers. So we sort of had to, he was giving it a couple of days before he presented the offers, so we had a little bit of time. The seller of that property they had been trying to buy and missing out time and time again because they were going in on their offers with subject sale conditions on the contract. So the big thing for them was getting the property sold and doing a rent back, they didn't want to do a rent back. Getting the property under contract and with a longer settlement period is what they wanted. Yep. We were sort of offering a rent back because then the money's in the bank, but they sort of, for whatever reason, didn't want that. They didn't like the idea of them renting their own property back, so they wanted like a longer settlement. The agent was telling everybody, if you can offer 60 to 120 days settlement, it gives them time to then go and buy. So we sort of spoke to the agent the following day to try and pick their brain as much as possible as to what level we need to come in at to be in the running, and he sort of said that there was 11 offers and 7 of them were above 700k, which we sort of knew anyway. Then then we sort of said we were going to offer 715, and he gave us a bit of an inkling that was probably not going to be that competitive. There was a bit of back and forth. Wow. There was a lot of back and forth actually. I think they closed out on Thursday evening at 9 p.m. The offers. We were sort of on the phone back and forth with him and the clients, and in the end, I said to the client, "Why don't you guys are over there, you're not moving in till June next year, why don't you offer them 180 days settlement period, because that's 6 months, and essentially if you give them 120 days, that's only just after Christmas time. So, there's going to be less available stock to buy around Christmas, all of the above. So they offered 180 days settlement with 1 month's notice at the discretion of the seller. So it put all the power in the seller's hands. Really, they had 6 months to go and buy a property, and then they just had to give the buyer 4 weeks notice to settle. And in the end, we bought it 726 with that condition in the contract, and the agent sort of said it was between us and 2 others, but having that longer time frame was what got it over the line. So
perfect. Yeah,
still pretty hectic.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, I think give it another 6 months, and that property will probably sell for 800 grand. It's
the market's moving, isn't it? Considering you said there it was on like mid to high 600s and 11 offers, all with a 7 in front of them.
Yeah.
But the most important thing that I picked from that there is you actually took the time to understand what the sellers wanted as well as what the buyers wanted, and you made a win-win situation for both of them.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand when you're negotiating on real estate. There's actually people involved, and the real estate is just a piece of the end product that the people want to get into. So if you can meet what both parties want and what works for both parties, then them terms generally work, and you've just proved it there with that negotiation. So
and a lot of people, might be living in a rental. They've got to get out of them 4 weeks, so they're putting their offer in with a short time frame, and even they might be the highest price with a short time frame, the sellers don't want that. Correct. And you've got to understand the whole picture. It's not always just about price, it's it can be about other factors.
Absolutely Nice work, mate. What about investment stock that you've been buying lately? Have you got any Perth buyers at the minute, or are they all eastern states?
No, it's a mixture actually. It's I thought it was going to always be not too many Perth, mainly over east, but we've probably had about 50-50 to be honest.
Really? Interesting.
Well, a lot of Perth people are time poor, just as time poor as your East Coasters as well, and they can't be bothered getting out to open homes every weekend, and
they've got some equity back now as well. We've seen some growth. So people are starting to free up some cash.
One that comes to mind is probably the most recent one we just bought for a young Perth couple who it's actually their first property. Long term it's going to be an investment, but they utilised one of the government incentives that's going at the moment with no stamp duty or something like that, but you got to live in the place for 6 months. So we bought for them out in High Wycombe, and just because of their budget and what they're looking to do. But yeah, good property. We missed out on one the previous weekend because there was a subdividable corner block out there where you could retain the house and chop the block off, but it's sold for way over what we thought it was worth. Basically, it actually sold to another buyer's agent who took that one out. But in the end, we missed out on that one. Went the following weekend to one in the same suburb, which was more of a cul-de-sac sort of scenario, but a much bigger block, about 880 square metres, and it was slightly triangulated, but you had a whole block off to the side that you could subdivide that. So we bought that for them, along with it had a bit of upside as well with being it was a 3x1, but it also had a second living area and second dining area off to the front of the home. So we're actually just blocking off that dining area to make it into a fourth bedroom, which will it'll increase the rental yield and give it a little bit of a equity uplift as well once it goes from a 3-bed to a 4-bedder. So and
it's subdividable.
And it's subdividable
Perfect.
too. Yeah, I wouldn't go and subdivide it to sell land. There wouldn't be much value in that. Where the block is at the moment, you can subdivide off. It's got this awesome big workshop shed, huge. I don't even know how big it is, but you wouldn't even want to knock that thing down. So I said, and the clients understand that. I said, look, you're not doing anything with this block for 5 or 10 years, but you've got that up your sleeve. You could go and get your approvals now if you want to, but maybe in 5 years' time, sell that shed, knock it down, sell it to someone, they'll come and take it down, and build a good 3x2 on that with its own separate driveway, and have a second dwelling in a few years' time.
High Wycombe and Forrestfield, interesting suburbs now, aren't they?
Yeah. Not really. They're sort of quite sleepy hollows years ago, but
isolated though, weren't they, on the other side of the airport?
Yeah, and you've got to go around the airport to get to them. But now there's the new train line going through there, and you can be in the city in about 20 minutes once you jump on that train. So they're bottom of the Perth foothills, so you've got all that lifestyle aspect.
It's actually beautiful out there, isn't it? Really nice, really quiet.
Yeah, very quiet.
Older homes though. Developed a long time ago.
There are newer pockets in both those suburbs.
Yeah.
But a lot of older homes on good sized blocks. But there's no vacant land out there, so you're never going to get any oversupply or build out. And when developers do open up very small land estates out there, the soil's not that good, so that it's expensive to build on, and they're generally quite high priced. So it's never going to be a cheapy sort of area. It's always going to be quite sought after.
Hey, it's Neil here, and on October the 19th to the 22nd, I'm racing in the Cape to Cape mountain bike ride to help raise money for my sister's care home. Now, if you're getting value from the HMO Property Show and all of the other content that we put out there, I would really appreciate a donation to show your appreciation. So I will leave that with you guys. The link is in the show notes, and I hope you continue to get value and listen to the HMO Property Show. Peace. Which other areas do you see? I know we've got a lot of interest coming in from the East Coast, like you said there. What areas are them guys targeting? Do we know?
Depends on their budget, really. I don't get too many people who come to me and say, I want to buy in X location. Most come and say, look, we'll follow your lead, and this is our budget. Some have ideas on locations that they've heard on, different media channels and things like that. Yeah. But it just ranges depending on where people are coming in from a price point. A lot are still trying to buy under 500k, which is getting harder and harder.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I almost at a point now, if someone tells me they've got a budget of sort of 400 or 450,
it's too tight.
You've almost got to give them that reality check straight off the bat, rather than saying yeah we'll do it, and then find out later that you really can't, or you're getting something on a half-size block, or I mean,
if we go back 2-3 years ago when we were working together, some of the properties we were picking up, or the prices we're picking up, were absolute bargains, weren't they, when you look at where the market's gone now?
Yeah, I was thinking about it the other day, and I remember there was a property we were negotiating down in Rockingham Way with a client, and we were going back and forwards with this agent over $1,000 or $2,000. And now you just think, if I missed out on that property for $2,000, and it's gone up by about 150 in about less than maybe 2 years, you'd be kicking yourself. But that's what it was a couple of years ago. You were negotiating over over pennies in the dollar, like that. And
then we started getting some media attention, and everybody started flocking over here. I mean, we were buying in Rockingham 2.5, 3 years ago, weren't we? And picking stuff up for like high threes, low fours. Yeah. Now you're struggling to get anything in them suburbs without a five in front of it. Not the size homes we were buying. Yeah. What was the one we picked up just recently in Harrington? Like, what would we have picked that up for?
Harrington
3 years ago.
Yeah. That was about $580. I think we paid for that recently. But
high fives.
That'd have
been a low 400k, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
a couple of years ago,
if it was 450, you'd be questioning yourself back then.
Yeah, and you'd be the only one there viewing it.
Yeah.
Different story now, eh?
100%.
What are we seeing about development sites at the minute as well? Because, again, there's a lot of negative media still around the construction industry. There's still a lot of people that are waiting to get properties finished. And we stopped, me and Troy, my business partner, we stopped buying development sites like 18 months ago, 2 years ago, because it was just too hard to make them stack up.
Same at the moment. I'm not really taking on any clients now that purely want that service. Been working with a guy for a few months now that we're trying to find either a development or a reno flip for, and he's quite patient, which is good. But even in the last, even sort of when we got started with him and just to now, the market's almost changed. Like, I bought sort of half a dozen sites that could be subdivided. And then since even the last 4 months or so, just the less and less stock, or the prices just shifted from where you were buying something for maybe in Morley for 550k, and you could quite easily take the back off it and turn a profit. Now that same thing's 50 to 100 more, so then there's nothing left in the deal. There's just less and less stock and less margin, and then there was also on the flip side, the last 12 months or so, we've had the new medium density codes being floated, and it's going to change everything, and it's going to kill all these sites are going to be dead because of the changes. And then obviously we didn't buy anything, and then they turn around a couple of months ago and say, "Oh no, we're scrapping the new medium density code." So everyone was adapting their strategies and changing up their models, and then they scrapped the whole idea, or benched it for now anyway. Yeah,
there was the MDC, there was the Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act. There's someone drilling right next door to the podcast booth, which is good. Two things that got brought out, and then two things that both got shelved as well because of the state of the market and the confusion that it created. I've just been sidetracked by that drilling guy there. Let's talk about the actual market itself then, because, like you say, what we were purchasing from, or what we were purchasing for a couple of years ago versus now, totally different. So, do we know what the median house price is in Perth at the minute?
Yeah, I think if you just go off the REWA numbers, it's about 570k. That's taken across all properties though, so it factors in the price of units, and
so it drags that median down a bit.
Yeah, so I think 12 months ago it was 530, 6 months ago it was about 550, and now it's about 570.
Yeah.
But I think that, to be honest, I think that's a bit lagged. That data's a bit lagged. Because,
you know what I mean? That's why I wanted to have this conversation today, because I don't feel like the numbers we're seeing in these statistics that are being brought out are reflective of what we're actually seeing on the ground.
Yeah, you've got a lot of buyers who are buying here at the moment from the East Coast, who are buying all the cheapy product, along with people in Perth who are trying to buy cheaper properties, sort of under 600, under 550, and that. There's been a lot of emphasis on that sort of product because of the interest rates as well. People's borrowing capacities have been reduced. The higher yields come from the cheaper end properties. So if you've got this unbalanced sort of people are purchasing the lower end stuff, but not so much stuff up around the $700-800 $1 million price, then it is holding that median down. But we're sort of seeing on the ground at the moment, you're going out, and even when you're looking at fringe suburbs, things that are over 600k. So people are spending that sort of money now, and I think once a few more of those transactions, go through to settlement, you're going to see that medium just keep getting dragged up, as it should. Yeah. The amount of units on the market is starting to decrease now too. We're finding that units sort of had sat at about the 1,600-1,700 units and apartments for quite a while, and when I sort of checked the other day, the amount of units and apartments available in Perth is down about 1,400 now. So
it's getting harder to build them, isn't it?
Well, that's right. And people are moving into that market because of the affordability. Even investors are moving in there, and I sort of thought that was quite strange, because you tend to steer away from units and apartments, but you know, now when you buy a unit for 300 grand and it rents for $450 a week,
good return.
Yeah, even with your strata and stuff, it's a good return.
Yeah. I think, and I'm just surmising here, but I feel like there's a lot of Sydney buyers who have made a lot of equity. You know, they could literally just throw in a dart at the dartboard and pick the suburb and would have seen tremendous growth in it. And I think they come here now with a total different mindset to what Perth investors have got.
Yeah.
Do you think they're the ones buying these units? Because I don't think many people from Perth will be buying apartments, do you?
I think they are, because I've been... Yeah, I was
investors.
Well, I only say this because I've spoken to an agent out in Mosman Park 2 days ago. I've got a guy on my books at the moment who is looking to just throw a cheaper unit in his self-managed super fund. And
for the yield.
Yeah, for the yield.
Yeah.
We were looking at one in Rivervale that was it was absolutely stuffed. It had a leak from upstairs, and we were trying to scoop it up for under 200 grand. Another guy... We had a due diligence clause in there, and then a cash buyer came in with no due diligence clause, so we missed it. And I sort of said to the buyer, I said, look, if we're going to buy one, we'll buy one in an affluent area, good location. We won't buy one where there's massive oversupply. And there's some pretty good ones out in Mosman Parkway, which is obviously your Golden Triangle sort of western suburbs, and but they've been selling like hotcakes. And the agent I've been speaking to out there, he sort of said, "Oh, there's a Sydney investor on this one already. He's just got his contract signed the other day, and then the other ones they've been selling them to guys over east as well. A buyer's agent over east actually bought one as well. So they are looking at them now, especially when they're priced in the sort of high 200s, and you're getting into a suburb like Mosman Park. It's where the houses there are 3 mil.
Yeah. Let's talk about them suburbs then, because you mentioned there it's a Golden Triangle, so Mosman Park, Peppermint Grove, Dalkeith. It's someone said to me that Peppy Grove or Dalkeith is like 90% of Perth's wealth is held in just one of them suburbs, which means like the richest people in Perth live there.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised at all. You've got all the homes that sort of face onto the river on 1,000 square metre blocks. You drive along and you can't really see in there, but you know what they're like if you're sitting on the river and you can see into their backyard, and they're pretty insane.
Some big houses,
multi-million-dollar properties that they're owned by rich listers around.
Yeah, and when we look at the Sydney prices of the high-end market, there's stuff that's on the water, whether it's on the ocean or whether it's on the actual river. Are we going to see Perth prices in them same locations, like on the ocean and on the river? Are they going to end up being Sydney prices, do we think?
Oh, it's very hard to say. Sydney's its own beast. It's in a league of its own.
It's like a London, isn't it?
Yeah, what the average punter buys in Sydney for a couple of $1 million, you can certainly get something very, very nice here in Perth. For that kind of money. When you're talking like Vaucluse in Sydney and properties are, 10, 15 $20 million. The same, I suppose, style and size and river-facing aspect of that property you'd buy here in Perth for, 4 or 5, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm thinking similar thing. Like, are they selling up these big 10, 15, 20 million homes and then coming over here and seeing stupid value?
Yeah, couldn't answer that one. But why wouldn't you? Like if you unless your sort of business is over there and you got to be there. Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and like you said earlier as well, there's a lot of people moving to Brisbane from Sydney and Melbourne. Some of the latest stats that I've seen, there's a lot of interstate migration from East Coast to West at the minute as well.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. There's I think it's 350 to 400,000 international migrants are expected here by the end of next year, 2024. Not to Perth, but to Australia.
Yeah, right.
350 to 400k, and Perth, on average over the years, gets around about 10 or 11% of all migration.
Wow.
So if you factor in 35, 40,000 internationals coming to Perth. Plus any interstate migrants, then you've got a hell of a lot of people coming in. We've got 2,400 standalone houses on the market right now, and about 1,500 rentals. So
So we've got about 4,000 properties available for sale and for rent, and we're expecting 35,000 people to move to the States in the next 12 months.
Yeah, 12 months, 2 years. So, you know, I mean, I suppose if you factored in that's a husband and a wife, so say you half that, you've still got 20,000 coming in for 4,000 or 5,000 properties.
Yeah. And construction-wise at the minute, do you know any stats on what's getting built? I
don't know the stats, but I know that it's... I heard
something around 15,000 houses a year are being built at the minute, which is...
It's below, I think about 20 to 25,000 is what we need to keep up with migration, and it's about 12,000 I think approvals. The number of approvals is lower than what we were in 2019 when we were at our sort of low in the market. So there's actually less building approvals now than there was in 2019. So, and on the flip side of that, I've got a few mates who are still in the house and land game, and they're sort of reporting back that there's not much land being developed. Developers aren't releasing very much land at the moment, so if they are signing up a client for a house and land pack, the land might not be titled until February, March, April next year. So, and then, you know, build times at the moment with your major project builders are sort of about 18 months. They're about 9 months in pre-construction and 9 months on site.
Yep.
So, you know, you're looking at, even, you know, hypothetically, if 20,000 people signed up for a new build tomorrow and the land's not ready, you're still 2 years away before you see keys to even help the situation with the stock levels. And
then we've got more people continuing to move in.
Yeah.
And they've got to live somewhere where them houses are getting built, and we've got, 1,500 properties to rent?
Yeah, it's about what it is. And that's what, it's about 1,600 or something rentals, but that's an interesting, I suppose the number around that can be a little bit skewed as well, I think, because I've spoken to quite a few property managers with properties for rent in some of these suburbs. I quite often ring property managers and say, you know, we're looking to buy this property. What do you think, you know, the rental would be? Because I'll just look up a suburb and we've got a few property managers we work with. But if I sort of see a local gun who looks after a specific suburb, has a lot of listings, you also ask them, you know, we're looking at this property, here's the real estate link or whatever. Ask them how much they think it'll rent for, and I'll say, you know, this one that you're renting, what's the situation with that? And they said, look, that it's not available for a month, but they've put it up for rent because the tenant's moving out. So there's a lot of properties that are listed for rent right now, but they're not actually available because there's still a tenant in them. And those are the numbers that are being used. So even if it's the numbers are saying 1,600 rentals, the reality is there's a lot of those that aren't actually available yet. So it's probably less.
And do you think some of these are on the market still with people actually applications in as well? So if we think of that 1,600, let's take 300 of them out because they're not ready to be actual moved into yet, and then there's probably another 300 that have got applications signed up on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Ready
to move into. So again, let's say they take 600 out of that. There's like 1,000 left.
Yeah, that's right. And that's it's hard to know the exact numbers, but that's the reality of it. They're there. It's a little bit the same with the numbers of properties available to buy. There's, you know, again they pull all the data off the real estate websites or rework websites for their numbers, and a lot of the properties that are online and, you know, it says they're available, you give the agent a call and that's under offer. It's already under offer, but they aren't keeping up. They aren't updating the listing, you know, for a few days or a week. Along with also a lot of house and land builders are putting house and land packages into the established section of the realestate.com website to sort of, I suppose, get a bit more exposure.
So it's pulling them through.
And again, it pulls those numbers out as well. Yeah.
So the metrics are skewed big time.
I think they're slightly skewed, and it's probably a little bit less than what you can see online.
Yeah. So we've got mass migration at the States, less properties on the market than are actually being reported. It's all the metrics are just pointing towards one thing, and that's capital growth, isn't it?
It's
more demand than supply.
Yep.
People start paying more to secure things, which drives the market up.
It's huge. You got a lot of emotional buying happening because people are out there every weekend at open homes. There's 10, 15, 20 offers. People have missed out 3 or 4 times.
People start to get angry out there.
They are.
Yeah.
We saw it actually in Parkwood probably maybe 3-4 months ago, there was they'd advertised that from like 580, and it went like closer to 700, and the agents a lot of agents are underpricing things, just to create mass frenzies. You can't even get a car park like in the street when they open the home up, and people are just, it causes frenzy buying. And we sort of rocked up to the door for the first open home, and there was already offers on the place, and the agent was just sort of telling everybody as they went inside, look, if you're putting an offer on, be close to 700 to be competitive. And it was listed from 580, and I remember seeing I think it looked like a sort of younger couple, potentially first home buyers. They turned around to the agent and said, well, why the fuck did you list it from 580?
Yeah.
And pissed off. They turned around and walked out of there like,
yep.
And it's probably happening time and time again.
Yeah, and this creates frustration, which creates the fear of missing out, which means that young couple next time will go in with a higher price, and going back to the property that you bought for that owner-occupier, mid to high sixes, went for almost mid sevens. This is going to continue to happen for, I don't know, if we go back to the scenario of people building houses, it's at least another 3 years. But then we're going to have people continuing to move to the States. So I honestly can't see this. I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, can you? No,
I've talked about this with a few people, and the only sort of thing I can think that would stop it is some a natural disaster or another COVID or something in the global scale, a war or something that causes this. If this just continues to trickle away the way it's going, Perth's the most affordable capital in Australia, with also the second highest income, bar Canberra. So you've got the cheapest properties, you've got the highest wages. Why would it go cheaper if you can't buy anywhere else cheaper in the country? That's also got the lifestyle factors that people are enjoying.
Beautiful place to live as well, isn't it? Let's talk about HMOs, mate, because we're still working together in the HMO space. What have we been buying for the HMO clients lately?
The last couple, Mick's one, I think. Mick, we bought a couple for Mick. He's on about number 4 now. He likes his cash flow, so he's bought a couple in the past, and he scooped up a couple more recently that we've converted from 4-bedroom 2-bathroom into 6-bed 4-bath. I think they're in renovation at the moment, aren't they? And actually another return client, which was
his son.
Well, his son's bought 3 or 4.
So between them, I think they've got 9 between them.
So they get it. And then there's the other couple.
They bought 2 now.
Who are on their second one. And again, it's a 6x4 being converted from a 4-2. The one down in Harrington that we mentioned there as well, that was a 5x5. We ended up converting it into. We went
for the 5x5, so fully ensuited. Wicked layout as well.
That was a big home.
I think we've got, I checked the board just before we came on, we've got 6 properties that are in the system ready for renovation or going through renovation. We just handed over another 1 or 2 over the last few weeks. One of them is one of the guests that was actually on the podcast back in the day. She picked up a property with a granny flat on the back of it, and we renovated the house for her. Also, the granny flat wasn't compliant, so we had to literally strip all the panels off the granny flat, insulate it, take the roof off, insulate it to make it habitable, get it all stamped by council. 670k purchase price and a 330k reno. Rent up at 2,700 a week. She's getting like a 16% yield on it.
What suburb was it?
Morley.
Oh, Morley. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's killer.
It's a cracking deal. Who else have we got? What else have we handed over lately? I'm trying to think of some more deals. On average, what are we seeing on average at the minute? Say we've got the 4x2 to a 6x4 conversion. Renovation wise, where they're sitting at the minute, including furniture pack, fire safety, all that stuff.
Reno. What are we looking at? You're coming in at about a couple of hundred.
Yeah, it's getting up there now, isn't it?
180 to 200 for everything.
Yep.
That includes your furniture and your project management, fire safety, the actual reno. That's adding like a couple of en-suites and doing a full, new everything basically in the house. Floors, paint, lights.
Yeah. So we're seeing purchase pricing. When it gets to a certain price, it starts to become unviable, doesn't it? Where are we seeing the highest end of the purchase price at the minute?
If it's a standard 4x2 to go to a 6x4, mid to high sixes is probably the max you want to go to.
Yeah.
Probably buying most stuff around the 600 to low six, maybe high fives.
Seems to be the new norm, doesn't it?
The new norm,
used to be high fours, didn't it?
Yeah, you used to say no to 500k.
Yeah.
But now it's
so mid like 6 to mid sixes is kind of like the higher end, and then we're looking at 180 to 250 renovation costs, including furniture pack, fire safety, sign off, styling, all that sort of stuff. What are we seeing in the way of rent on them then?
Well, the fees I put together yesterday for the one we're looking at going there today actually now, that one totals about 70k a year. That's going to be a 6x4, and I think we've got 250 in for the en-suited rooms and 200 for the shared bathroom. But I think we're quite conservative with that. We'll probably
every feasibility we put together for the last 12 months, and don't start putting higher numbers in, because they're working on these low numbers, and then we're going back to the client and saying, look, we're renting these rooms out for literally an extra 30 to 50 bucks each.
Yeah.
Combine that by 6 bedrooms, and like the rent wheels are just going through the roof at the minute.
Yeah, if it stacks up, and I think this was getting about 11.5% gross.
Yeah.
At 250, so if you get an extra $20 a room, again across 6 bedrooms, that's $100 a week, $5,500 a year.
It's nice.
It's a bonus at the end.
So even with purchase prices going up, interest rates going up, construction prices going up, and furniture packs going up, we're seeing room rates increase, which again, like you said on your development that you did earlier, it's kind of in tandem, isn't it? They go up together.
Yeah, it's going a fairly linear sort of. Everything's aligning really.
Yeah.
Which it should really, because that's how it works. If you can't afford to buy a property, you're going to pay rent. So if one's cheaper than the other, then the market will move to whatever that is. But then the other side will catch up.
Yeah.
Used to be, again, when the interest rates were low, it used to be cheaper to own than rent.
Yes.
And then as interest rates turn, then we're at normal interest rates now. People sort of short memories, those were only low interest rates because of COVID. Historically, I think over the last 30 years, interest rates have been about 6%, and then all of a sudden, when they go down to 2 and then back up to 6, people sort of freak out. But it's the norm. 2s
and 3s, it was like free money, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, with the amount of demand that's out there as well, and the lack of supply, I honestly can't see room rates in Perth in the HMO space. I just see them going up again in line with rents, and again it comes back to frustration, the fear of missing out, and people just wanting to secure a roof over their heads.
Yeah, that's right. And to even though room rates are they sort of sound expensive, but when you factor in that they include all of the electricity and the Wi-Fi and all of that. If people go to rent their own property and they've got to then pay all of their electrical bills, their water bills, their gas bills, have a Wi-Fi bill that they're covering themselves, it's a hell of a lot more than what the weekly rent is once you tack all of that on top of it. Yeah,
and convenient for people, literally turn up. We don't have 30 people turning up at a home open, but we are seeing like between 5 and 10 for one room at the minute. Yeah. So the newer houses, we're getting a lot of demand. We've got some wicked new systems set up now, so we're capturing everybody's data and building a database of tenancy as well. And we're seeing the amount of inquiries that we're getting on ads at the minute has increased a lot over the last 6 months. So we'll track that again over the next 6 months and see if it keeps going up.
Yeah, I think that'll only increase with the migration too, because if a migrant comes to Perth with no rental history, they're not going to get a house.
Yeah.
They're not going to show up from wherever they come from and ask for a standalone 3-bedroom home.
Yeah.
If there's another 20 or 30 people at the door that have been renting already here in Perth, so they're probably going to get a lot of that, take a lot of that market share as well.
Absolutely. Scott, it's been a pleasure catching up again, mate. Let's do it again in another 12 months.
Yeah.
We'll recap on what we've been talking about today and see where the market is next time, eh?
We will. Sounds good.
Mate, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you tune in the same time next week so you stay up to date with all the cash flow positive property updates.